All right. All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome and welcome back to the show. This is Chaos and Charcuterie. I am Brian K. James, and I appreciate every single one of you all for being here. Listen, it is Friday. Shout out to the weekend for some of you who actually, have weekends, whatever that weekend means to you. Shout out to y'all. How was your week? How are you feeling? Did you make it through the week? You doing all right? Did you do it, Joe? Did you do it, Joe? You feeling good? Um, I'm doing all right. All things considered, I am feeling very good. I'm feeling very fortunate. I'm feeling very grateful. I got some great news this week about a project that I have going on, and I cannot be more excited. I have things going on. I am so excited. I cannot wait for this project that I am creating. It is so amazing. I can't really say too much about it yet, but let's just say if you enjoy me on camera in these lives, you're gonna see a lot more of me on camera soon. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I appreciate that. I'm so excited. You know who you are. Thank you again. Um, but yes, as you guys know, this is Chaos and Charcuterie. This is the more personal experience that is an extension of the Real Reality Realness podcast, where I, just read off some of the most interesting headlines and articles that are in the internet and in my Google app to me. And then I do a segment called Hey Ashley, where I give unsolicited advice to people who write into other people for advice whose name just happened to start with A. So, with that being said, first we're going to start with podcast news, and we're going to talk about all of the people who have been on the podcast this week. And I want to shout out everybody who has been on the podcast this week, since it is Friday. So I want to just wrap up the entire week of guests and thank everybody for being here. Today we had on the show Andy from the Real Andy of Beverly Hills. He's a YouTuber. He is like a he's had a meteoric rise. He is a hit on YouTube. If you are into Housewives, I'm pretty sure you know who this guy is. He is amazing. We had a great conversation about Housewives, his content, his YouTube channel, all the franchises. We really got into it. So make sure you guys go and cover that. Now, I want to go back and look at everybody who's been on this week. I want to thank, let me pull up my app. I'm sorry, because I decided to do this in the moment. So I'm going to just go ahead and just rock with it and do it. But I pulled open the wrong app. So let me go to my Audible app where I actually listen to my podcast at. Okay. So what's today? 20. Oh my gosh. I'm not exactly sure how many. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So Andy was on today from the Real Andy of Beverly Hills. Cedric Smith from Concrete Productions was on Thursday. Diamond Styles from the Marsha's Plate podcast was on Wednesday. Leanne Locken from the Real Housewives of Dallas was on Tuesday. And Raphael H., another YouTuber who I have discovered and had the pleasure of getting to know, was on Monday. Thank every single one of you guys for being here. I appreciate you all for coming by, stopping by the show. Please come back anytime. And I cannot wait for you guys to see who's coming on the show next week, or hear rather who's coming on the show next week, starting with comedian Danny Murphy. He is a comedian. He is a podcast host. He hosts the Not Another True Crime podcast, and he is also the host of the virtual reality on Page Six. So make sure you guys go and get caught up on him. Make sure you guys know who he is. So when he comes on the show on Monday, you'll be prepared and get ready to just enjoy the laughs that we have on the show, because we have a full blown Kiki. Okay. Now, I tried to do this yesterday, but It didn't go over so well. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get it out of the way and do it today while I have the whole setup figured out, and we up and running. The name change. Okay. A lot of you know me as Sean Ellis Rogers. I've kind of built this podcast on that phase of this name, that phase. But I want to explain the change. Okay. One of the things that I want to leave in 2022, I've been asking that a lot to people on my show, is what do you want to leave in 2022? And a lot of things that I want to leave in 2022 have to do with just self-doubt, right? So I want to leave behind second guessing myself. I want to leave behind not following my gut. And I want to leave behind having regrets. Okay. So in that, all of those three things can be directly attached to my name, or my name at the time, which was Sean Ellis Rogers, right? Have you ever been in a moment you um where you were torn between two things and you went with something that you thought was easier, but it went against your gut, and then retroactively you kind of thought back and were like, retrospectively you thought back and were like, oh, I should have followed my gut. Well, this is me following my gut in 2023. um Going all the way back, I started this podcast with the name Cherie Laveau, right? And the reason for that was because I was planning on coming out of drag retirement. And that was the name of the drag character that I had created. That was the name of the direction that I was going with my drag. And it was going to be a full blown thing, right? Well, with that being said, I moved in a different direction because I still wasn't healed from the things that have happened in my past. And so um, and by things that have happened in my past, I more so mean just the loss of my best friend. Um, so I really didn't feel comfortable getting in drag without Alex. And so I still don't to this day. And so with this podcast, there was a direction change where I started to lean more into doing interviews and bringing people on the podcast to express their stories and talk about their journeys to their platforms and their personal greatness. And so with that, I felt the need to just jump out of the drag element and take on an actual stage name, right? Well, I was torn between Brian K. James and Sean Ellis Rogers. And the reason why I chose Sean Ellis Rogers at the time was because, my gut went with Brian K. James, which is spelled funky. It's really cool. It's completely original, and this, that, and the third. But Sean Ellis Rogers is a name that when you read it, it's very easy to read. Do you get what I mean? And so I didn't want to confuse anybody. I didn't want to, you know, have any barriers to get to my talent. I wanted to make it as easy as possible to access what I do and make what my talents were possible for you to understand, right? So I took the easier name at the time, and I have regretted it most of the time. A lot of the time I didn't regret it just because I created the name. So it's not like it's, something that I regretted, but it was just like I wasn't fully satisfied. I'll say that. I'm not going to go with a regret. I'll say that I wasn't fully satisfied because it was a name that I kind of settled for, one. And then two, the name is a combination of other people's names, or um, amalgamations of people's names that inspired me. Do you get what I mean? And so I for one, I wasn't in the direction I was going in my career. I wasn't directly inspired by the people who inspired my name, even though they inspired me as, an artist and, in a general sense. But in the direction I was going with, they weren't directly inspiring me, one. And then two, I always regretted not going with a name that I originally created that was completely original to me. Right. And so with 2023, I wanted to just take all the chances and take all the leaps and solidify and fortify myself as much as possible and really own myself as much as I can, right? And so, with that being said, Brian K. James is the name that I reverted back to because it was the name that I truly loved. And it's the name that I've always kind of gone back to in my head when I pondered this. I thought about this for a long time, changing my name. And it's something that I didn't do earlier because I was, worried about the reception and worried about if I could, do that with all of the interviews that I had coming up and all of this and the third, blah, blah, blah. But it was like something like, I have to do it for me. That's the long and short of it. I just have to do it for me. And so, with that being said, Brian K. James is the name and the K is for Corday. So, you know, that is what it is. And I appreciate y'all taking the journey with me. That's really kind of all there is to it. I really appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate y'all writing it out with me and thugging it out with me. It means the world to me. So, on that note, I am Brian K. James. This is Real Reality Realness, the more personal experience, Chaos and Charcuterie, and I still put the mess in the message. Now, speaking of the mess, Alec Baldwin is facing involuntary manslaughter charges for the shooting on the Rust set, right? Actor and producer Alec Baldwin is being charged with involuntary manslaughter in the deadly 2021 shooting on the set of the Western film Rust, prosecutors in New Mexico announced Thursday. The armorer who oversaw firearms on the set, Hannah Reed, is also being charged with involuntary manslaughter. Baldwin was holding a gun during a rehearsal when it was discharged, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins. After a thorough review of the evidence and the laws of the state of New Mexico, I have determined that there is sufficient evidence to file criminal charges against Alec Baldwin and other members of the Rust film crew, District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwise said in a statement released Thursday morning. On my watch, no one is above the law and everyone deserves justice. Hutchins was wounded by a gunshot during a setup for a scene at the ranch on the outskirts of Santa Fe on October 21st, 2021. Baldwin was pointing a pistol at Hutchins when the gun went off, killing her and wounding the director, Joel Sosa. Baldwin and Geertiez Reed are each being charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter, a 4th-degree felony punishable by up to a year and a half in jail and a $5,000 fine. The charges also include a provision that could result in a mandatory 5 years in prison because the offense was committed with a gun. Both counts stem from the shooting of Hutchins, Carmack Altwise said. Involuntary manslaughter can involve a killing that happens when a defendant is doing something that is lawful but dangerous and is acting negligently or without caution. No charges are being filed in the shooting of Sousa. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Livingston, a professor at Loyola, Law School in Los Angeles, a professor at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles, said it's important to understand Hutchins' death wasn't intentional. We're talking about a potentially lawful act that you engage in, but you were criminally negligent, Levinson said. So, for instance, if you go shooting with friends and you're not holding a gun properly and you're not taking due care and you should have known that something dangerous could have happened and you accidentally kill a friend, you can be charged with this. Involuntary manslaughter. You can read the rest of the article at cbsnews.com. But yeah, that's pretty cut and dry. That's pretty much the basic definition of involuntary manslaughter. If you kill somebody on accident, even though you have the legal right to bear arms, that is involuntary manslaughter. If you kill somebody on accident while you're driving a car, you have the legal right to drive a car as long as you have a driver's license. But if you kill somebody while driving, that's involuntary manslaughter. Do you get what I mean? So, I don't really know what to say about that. I really don't know what to say about that. Like, I hate that it went down like that. I hate that, the accident resulted in a death. I hate that all of this happened in general, but you know, that is what it is. But y'all heard Young Miami like golden showers or whatever? Because I want to talk about fun stuff on the internet today. And I want to have a balance of talk about the real shit and then talking about some fun shit. So we're gonna try to balance it out. Young Miami like getting peed on. Good for her. I don't kink shame unless your kink is kink shaming. So if Young Miami like golden showers, go off. She was on Carisha Please with her godmother Trina, and they were playing Risha Roulette, and she got a card that said, "Take a shot if you like golden showers," and she admitted it. Okay, well, I guess, not everybody is very open with their kinks. Not everybody is open with their sexual proclivities and interests and preferences and things. So I'm sure it is shocking for somebody to say that on the internet because it's not, I mean, when it comes to the Black community, the only time that we hear about golden showers is when we're talking about R. Kelly. And the context of that is not something that we should be laughing and making jokes about. So, if anything, I'll take from this situation that Carisha has single-handedly steered the negative of golden showers and peeing on people sexually away from R. Kelly in the eyes of the Black community, and that being circled around those golden showers being inflicted on a 14-year-old. So, shout out to Carisha in that regard. Appreciate you, sis. I really love you for that one. Um, let's move on to Flo Rida. So, Flo Rida has reportedly won $82 million um in this Celsius energy drink lawsuit, right? Let's read. Flo Rida's attorney, John Ustall, has released the following statement to Double XL in the wake of the rapper's court victory. There were complicated legal issues in this case. We said we trust the jury to do the right thing. We trust the verdict, accept the decision of the jury. And it's amazing how detailed the jury verdict was, how they filled out a complicated and extensive jury verdict in such a way that it made it clear beyond any doubt that they understood all the most difficult issues in the case and resolved them. Some of my past jury verdicts have surprised me at first, but I have come to accept the wisdom of the jury, and in hindsight, I have always realized how right they were. I'm glad in this case, the jury concluded that Flo Rida should get what he asked for. Flo Rida just had a massive win in court, scoring a victory over the fitness drink company Celsius to the tune of $82 million. On Wednesday, January 18th, the verdict was announced in Flo Rida's case against the drink company, in which the jury sided with the Florida rap crooner. Video of the low rhymer giving his victory speech is going viral. In the clip, Flo Rida stands behind a podium with a can of Celsius in hand. I just want to say God is good in Jesus' name. Flo Rida prefaces his speech before taking a swig from the can. He begins to thank the jury, the judge, and his legal counsel. According to the documents obtained by XXL, Flo Rida sued Celsius Holdings, Inc. back in May of 2021 for breach of contract, claiming the company failed to make additional payments and deliver on shares of stocks based on the contractual agreement they entered into in 2014. Video from the trial went viral last week that showed Flo Rida's hit song being played in court for the jury. This was a long journey, but we prevailed. From the start, I only wanted what I worked for. Nothing more, nothing less. Flo Rida told reporters outside the courtroom, according to local Miami news outlet NBC6. I gained a new respect for the judicial system. Most importantly, I just want to say, God bless America. XXL has reached out to Florida's attorney and the attorney for Celsius Holdings for comment. No such comment has been returned. Congratulations, Flo Rida. I don't know who. Listen, if we can base his winning of this case on anything, I didn't know who the hell Celsius Drink Company was until I found out Flo Rida just won $82 million from them. I didn't know anything about this suit. I didn't know anything about this drink company. I didn't know anything about, well, I ain't gonna say I didn't know anything about Flo Rida, but I didn't know anything about Flo Rida's current endeavors until he won this $82 million. So congratulations to him. I'm glad he got everything that he worked for. I'm glad that the jury verdict was detailed and thorough enough for them to articulate that they clearly understood exactly where they were coming from when it comes to why they wanted this amount of money in the first place, and awarded him exactly what they felt that he wanted, or exactly what he felt that he deserved, rather. So all's well that ends well. You know what I mean? Congratulations to them. I am pretty much at my limit. I started a little late, so I'm still going to do the show on the time that I have it today. And I'm still going to work out all the kinks as I go into the next week. You know, we're trying to do this 5 days a week. So, you know, bear with me. We're figuring it out, but I'm gonna keep trucking if y'all keep trucking with me. I'm gonna get ready to move on to Hey Ashley. And what Hey Ashley is a segment that I do based on the concept of all of these women who do advice columns starting with A, and it reminding me of the Ashleys from that show Recess. And so I decided to create a segment where I gave unsolicited advice to people who wrote into other columns for advice. And it just so happens that all of these advice columns just happen to start with the letter A. All of these women's names just happen to start with A: Abby, Amy, and Annie. And now we got Ashley. So, with that being said, let's start with the GOAT, Dear Abby. Because Dear Abby is the first one that I know of. I don't know if there was anyone before Dear Abby whose name started with an A who was out here giving advice. I don't know. Make her known. I'll read her column too. So, Dear Abby, my best friend stopped speaking to me and I have no idea why. Dear Abby, the last 2 years have been especially tough. I went through a breakup after a 4-year relationship. My dog developed cancer and I had to put her to sleep. My condolences. And I caught and have been dealing with the long haul symptoms ever since. My energy is low because of it. Plus, I've been depressed with all the events that have happened. I have I have two best friends I have known since I was 16. I'm 34 now. I thought they would be there for me through anything. We were close until recently. They no longer invite me to get togethers and they hang out and exclude me. I try to stay in contact, but when I talk to them, it doesn't progress from small talk. The few times I have seen them, I stayed positive and didn't discuss my problems. They have children and I'm single and childless, which may have caused the divide between us. Being excluded hurts. When I mention it, they say, "You don't have kids. I didn't think you'd want to come." It feels like a slap in the face. I need my friends more than ever right now because I feel very alone through one of the toughest times of my life. How do I mend these friendships? Am I unreasonable for being upset? Signed, Disappointed in Virginia. Dear friend, discuss your feelings with your friends. They may not be trying to isolate you intentionally. You are in a very difficult you are in very difficult phases of your lives right now. They may sincerely believe that being invited to kids' parties would bore you as their constant chatter about what their precious little ones are doing, saying, etc. This may seem like excuse me. This may seem like blasphemy, but more than a few childless adults feel that way. And that is absolutely true, by the way. A lot of people who don't have kids don't understand people talking to people with kids and how much people talk about their kids. As somebody with a child, I get it. And as somebody who didn't have a child for a long time, I also get it. So, whatever. If you explain that you need their emotional support after everything that you have been through, they may step forward, recognize that your friends with kids are a package deal. If you bond with their kids, it might bring you all closer. Hey, boo. However, if that doesn't happen, you will have to summon the energy to find new friends whose lives better align with yours. Um, I do think you should definitely articulate how you're feeling and let them know exactly, what you're going through when it comes to feeling isolated. I just feel like, they can't, closed mouths don't get fed. And if you don't tell them how you're feeling, they can't read your mind, and you can't expect them to know how you're feeling or expect to know that they would react to something, or to know you can't expect them to know that you would react to something a certain way. So the least you could do on your part is convey your feelings and let them know exactly how you're feeling in the situation, and let it go from there. And then, you know, I do agree that making the attempt to bond with their kids as an extension, as the extension of your friends that they are, is something that I feel like you should do anyway. One, but two, it would also be a great extension of yourself in the friendship as well. If you make yourself available to their children, it'll also make you more available to them. Um, but if you ain't really trying to be around kids like that, and you really just want to, and if you just want your friends and not your kid, and not your friends' kids, then you may need to go find you some new friends. But I don't understand how, I don't know how effective new people that you don't have that emotional connection with are going to be able to be available for you when you don't really know them like that. It's going to be hard to emotionally invest in them, and open up to them while you're also trying to get to know new friends. So I would suggest that you do all you can to try to fix and mend, and, interlock your lives with your friends' kids as well, so that you can, kill two birds with one stone. You can also, hang out with your friends, get the energy that you need from the familiar faces that you're trying to get them from, but also make yourself available in a way in their lives that they also need, you know? So, oh, comment. Bethany says, my son has behavior problems and they don't want him to come to school because they don't apparently have teachers who are capable of dealing with a child like that. But we don't know yet if he has any kind of autism, ADD, or HDD. That is terrible. I absolutely hate that you're going through that. I hope that, with the medical professionals that you're working with, they're making the journey a little more easy for you emotionally. Um, because I can understand how weighing that can be on you, and how stressful that can be on you. I don't even know how to be there for somebody who's going through something like that, and I have a child. Do you get what I mean? No, that's a terrible issue. That's completely messed up. And that's why I was like, I hope that the medical professionals are trying to help you in any way possible, because the school is completely messed up for that. I'm trying not to curse. The school is completely messed up for that. And I don't understand, like, why would they not go to the Board of Education to try to find a professional, or did they not even direct you to somebody who can give him the adequate care that he needs? Or like, what, like, if they don't have the people who are professionally qualified to teach him, that's one thing. But as professional educators, I feel like they have some type of oath or something that they have to find this kid the right type of education. Am I wrong? So did they not make any type of recommendations to you? Did they not try to, like, help follow up with you to make sure that he did get the care and the education that he needs? Or did they just, or were they just like hands off, like, well, we ain't got it, so you'll have to find somebody else to do it? Like what, that is insane. Um I I don't even know, because it's like, it's like they're shunning him and affecting his ability. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, how is it that these people as educators don't are not extending themselves to at least make sure that he gets the professional education that he needs, and the professional care to get the education that he needs? Why would they, like, how could they do that? She said her supervisor, which works with the board, said it. I've tried calling her this morning. I have him I have him evaluated the 14th of February. His teacher put in a request, but they don't want him back to this school until after his evaluation. That I definitely feel like that's setting him back. I don't even like I don't know what the alternative could be in that situation, but I do feel like there should at this point in the educational, curriculum that is our country, I feel like there should be some sort of system in place to at least circumvent or help, you know, parlay this situation to where it needs to be if they don't have the properly. Whoa, he's only in preschool. Yikes. I don't know. Yikes. Yikes. I don't even. Wow. Wow. I don't. Wow. Wow. So, wow. Wow. That is in. Wow. I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. I don't even know what to do in that situation because it's completely jacked. It's completely wrong that they are like I'm glad that they put in the evaluation and all of that. And he goes to a good school, a charter school they call them. I know, yeah, I've heard of those. My son doesn't my son doesn't do this at home. Okay. So this is very difficult. And I understand the level of your frustration, and I really hate that you're going through that. I genuinely don't even know how to facilitate any type of help for you. But if anybody watching this in the replay crew can give me any advice to give her, let me know and I will take down her Instagram and send her any notes that anybody can give me because I think that this is absolutely wrong and I do want to help you through this as much as I can. Um, let's see. Let me write down Bethany Nicolo. I'm definitely gonna follow up with you after this to see what else we can do. Honey, I'm not trying to let them have it. This is my child you're messing with. I, uh, what if it gets wrong with his kids? That's also true as well. I think that's why I started off with saying like I hope that your doctors and your medical professionals are like hoping like to support and like facilitate you through that process. But I just hope that like somebody can help me like point you to like a specialist, a doctor, a therapist, like somebody who can help to facilitate like us like some sort of special tutor, teacher, school, program, app, anything that could help lead you in the right direction. So with that regard, I'm definitely gonna keep up with you. I've got you written down, and I'm going to follow up with you after this because you're absolutely not wrong. That's totally an issue. And speaking of issues, I'm gonna move on to my next Hey Ashley, which is from Ask Amy, and a it is the headline is what's an appropriate age range for dating a man? Wait a minute. What's an appropriate age range for dating for a man in his 60s? Okay. Dear Amy, I'm a 62-year-old man. I am seeking a new relationship with a woman. What is appropriate age? What is the appropriate age for me when I'm looking for a new partner? Signed, aged out. No problem, Bethany. Dear aged out, you and I are the same age, roughly described as I'm anyone who will have me years. Age is less important than maturity, and in that regard, life experience and work ethic, responsibility, and reliability are all core values to consider, regardless of the person's age. I agree. I think that when it comes to this point of your life, you're 62. You grown hell. So I feel like at this point, it really doesn't even have to matter about age. It's people who can match your mental capacity and match your level of not even experience, but just the like who can just match with you mentally and like where you are in your life. Do you get what I mean? Who wants to do the same things that you want to do? Who, whose thought processes align with your thought processes and who gels with the way that you want to do life in this point in your life. And the maturity is a big part of that. So when considering age, that's where the maturity comes into play, because usually the younger you are, the more you have to consider maturity. And or I'm going to say this, usually the younger you are, the more people consider maturity first, and the older they are, the more people forget to consider maturity. That's what I'll say, because there's two sides of that. I definitely think that you should be more so paying attention to the type of person that you want more so than the age, and let the type of person just come to you in whatever age that they come to, and then you kind of just figure out where you land in the new journey of your dating life. So, that's really all I got on it. Your letter was short and sweet. I'm gonna try to keep my answer short and sweet. You know what I mean? So, dear Annie, all right. This is my third one of the day. Okay. Dear Annie, the headline is My parents overreact to trying to keep the peace following a fallout between my brother and me. Okay. Dear Annie, I've read a few letters in your column in which parents wrote out about two of their children arguing and wanting there to be peace. And in all of your replies, you have advocated trying to remind people about the good times and work toward building back the relationship. Generally, in most of these situations, there's one sibling who was the one hurt. I know in my case, I had a 3-year estrangement with my sibling, and my parents acknowledged that my sibling was the one in the wrong. However, they kept saying that even though they were wrong, I should apologize and make peace so the family can be happy. They really damaged my relationship with my parents. Though, sorry, this really damaged my relationship with my parents, because all they really cared about was having their wonderful fantasy of a happy, loving family. When a parent tries to pick sides or try to convince the quieter or less volatile sibling to suck it up for the family, they may work for a short period that may work for a short period of time, but it's going to create resentment and disillusionment in the long run. When my brother and I did eventually make peace, what's happening now is that they are trying to micromanage all the situations to avoid triggering the volatile sibling, my brother, at the expense and fairness to the other one, me. I would suggest in the future that parents continue their relationship with their kids as they normally do, but let the siblings work it out or not work it out as they see fit. Every holiday, I visit my parents and get yelled at because they want to make sure that my brother and his family don't get mad. And because my sibling is the older one and lives closer to them, it is important that they keep him happy, I guess, because it would work out better for them. He is one Here is one such example. For the last 20 years, I have always made the cranberry sauce for every holiday. 1 year ago, I called my nephew to the kitchen and showed him how I made it. My nephew has decided he doesn't like me adding some mulling spices and orange juice into the cranberry, and he wants to make it himself now. The day before dinner, my dad yelled at me that I cannot make cranberry sauce because it's important to keep the peace. He doesn't want my brother to get mad that I'm making the cranberry sauce. Even when I suggested that my nephew make his own and I make my own, that was not enough. Just in case my brother got mad at the idea. I can't keep living Excuse me. I can't keep living like this anymore. I'm so and so I'm thinking of gradually going low contact with my parents. Forcing a reconciliation when it is not wanted directly is also contributing to my feelings of alienation. Signed, calling it quits. Dear quits, you ask yourself, is it really about the cranberry sauce? No. Telling you to suck it up is never the right response. Having you walk on eggshells in front of your brother is never a recipe for a happy family holiday get together. But saying that your sibling is the one always in the wrong or jumping on that type of validation from your parents is not going to solve anything. The goal is not to be right. The goal is to be peaceful and joyful and happy with your family. The best way to do that is to look at the big picture and not to sweat the small stuff. Tell your dad how you feel, make the cranberry sauce your way, and let your nephew make it his way. Try the point is to try to be flexible with each other and loving your family. If you decided to not participate at all or call it quits, then it is you who is being rigid and inflexible. Okay. For me, I feel like at this point, you should make your feelings plain to every part in this situation. Make your feelings known to your parents, make your feelings known to your brother. And if feelings can't be respected, then you need to move accordingly to whatever helps you to protect your peace. And if that means making your own cranberry sauce and try you just keeping it in a piece of Tupperware in your purse that you eat with your plate, then that is perfectly fine. If that means you doing Thanksgiving at your house with your family and your people and your cranberry sauce, do that. But you cannot keep living your life like you so eloquently stated. You cannot keep living your life around the demands of your brother who is unwilling to meet you in any sort of compromise or meet you at any point on any yard line with any type of reconciliation or any type of resolution in this type of imbalance with your energy and with your relationship. you know um you want your relationships with your siblings to work out, and I get that, but at the end of the day, you don't need to be out here doing stuff that's unhealthy, and you don't need to be doing stuff that doesn't benefit you in any way. At the end of the day, it's like, what are you supposed to do when you don't have anything left to give and you're so spent and emotionally hurt that you start spazzing out on people because you done took so much, kept quiet, especially when the resolution, when it comes to everyone else but you in this situation, is to diminish your presence in the situation, or to diminish your voice in the situation, and only base the resolution around one party. Now, where I do agree with the response is that you can't base your entire um statement on placing all the blame on one person and you always being right. I feel like there, there's a lack of accountability that goes into that, and I do feel like, you may not be the more dominant presence of wrong in this situation, but everybody contributes something to the situation. That doesn't necessarily give you fault, but it does give you ground to stand on to meet in the middle. If you own whatever part you play in the situation, no matter how big or small, it gives you ground and leverage to stand on when you're trying to meet in the middle to come for compromise and resolution, in my opinion. Do you get what I mean? So while while I do agree that basing the resolution to all of your issues around the needs or the demands of your brother is something that is wrong, I don't feel that placing the blame solely on him is the problem. There is some accountability for you, there is some accountability for your parents, and I feel like that's why you need to have a conversation across the board. Do I feel like you need to have a conversation with all of those people at the same time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I feel like you need to take the time to speak to everyone individually, and even your parents. Compartmentalize your parents into separate conversations and say, listen, this is how I'm feeling when you do this. Separate conversation. This is how I'm feeling when you do this. Separate conversation. This is how I'm feeling when you do this. Separate conversation, and base all of those things around what each person does to contribute to you not being able to positively move forward in the reconciliation and resolution in the situation. Do you get what I'm saying? Um, I hope that that's helpful. Today I'm not even being messy. I'm genuinely just trying to offer whatever type of actual input I can give you in this situation. Um, because I think that, these stories weren't even really messy stories. Usually I get on here and I be reading these stories real messy, and then next thing you know, it just be a whole issue. So, um, but I guess that's what I get for, waiting until I get on live to read these stories cold for y'all. Like, I like to just kind of react to things as they're happening. So like I like kind of reading the questions live. But with that being said, that's pretty much all I got on that story. So, you know, um that's pretty much it. That is my show. I don't have any more for you guys today. I have extra topics, but I'm going to push them to Monday. So, and if I have anything else that I want to talk about, I will. I might do a live over the weekend. I say that all the time, but I never really end up doing it. So who knows? I may get encouraged enough to go live. I may not. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. But until then, the only other news that I have is that I upped the gauges in my ears recently. So I'm moving on up when it comes to my gauges. Shout out to the people that have gauged ears. And that's pretty much it. On Monday on the show, we have, let's see, who do we have on Monday again? Danny Murphy. We have the comedian Danny Murphy. Can't wait for you to see him, or to hear him rather. Excuse me. Make sure that you're subscribed to Real Reality Realness with Brian K. James. We stream everywhere that you can stream podcast: Apple, Google, Anchor, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, iHeart. Um, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Stitcher, we're everywhere. Make sure you go stream the podcast. Make sure you go stream my spinoff podcast, Housewives History with Megan and Brian. That is the experience where we go back and recap iconic episodes in Housewives history that happened throughout the week, dissect them, and talk about all type of, you know, deep thought that deep thought that we have about the episode, about Housewives, and just about the HCU in general. We play games, etc., etc. As well, make sure you stay tuned for my new podcast coming with Dave Lennon from the Lost in the Groove podcast. We are coming together to create this joint project called Groove and Gravity, which is going to be an analytical music podcast where we are going to be dissecting the artist and their legacy and establishing where impact and where impact separates from personal and cultural. So we're taking a person's cultural impact and our personal impact, blending them together to create a think piece about some of the most interesting, some of the most controversial, some of the most underrated artists that we find in history. And we want to give them their flowers, dissect their lives, put a spotlight on their music, and, you know, really just take the groove that we love to get lost in and place the gravity in the seriousness that comes with their lives, and place the weight on the people that created the music that we love. So make sure you tune into that. That is going to be launching in March. I am so excited for that project. Um, and yeah, just make sure that you look out for me here. I am going to be live hopefully Monday through Friday, now that I feel like I have my setup right. Monday through Friday. I am going to try to make sure that in February I set the times very specifically. And try to have a consistent time that I go live. But if I don't, I'm going to try to at least schedule the lives a week ahead of time so that you can see when you click on my page, you'll be able to see exactly when I'm going live every day that week. So you'll be able to come in and catch me. So with that being said, I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in with me live. If you stop by during the live, I thank you so much. Thank you, Bethany Nicole Lowe, for coming in and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Please hit me in the DMs and let me know how I can send you any type of notes, comments, advice that I get to help you with your story. And yeah, I love every single one of you guys from the bottom of my green heart emoji. Make sure you guys keep the mess in the message. Make sure you guys misbehave yourselves. And like I say every day over on the podcast, make sure you be real, stay in reality, and always, always bring the realness. I am Brian K. James. This has been Chaos and Charcuterie, the more personal experience and extension of the Real Reality Realness podcast. And until next time, peace. See y'all later.